Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How is life in your world? I hope everything is excellent and magnificent and splendiferous, and I don't know. I hope everything's great. And I hope my microphone's on today. It's plugged in. We'll see what happens. 680 some episodes in, and we've talked about my personal life a whole lot on the show. And I've tried very, very difficult to protect my family in the way that I discuss them. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, right? We're all individuals, and we all have our individual perspectives, our individual views, and all that on things. And so I've always just tried to keep their perspective out of it, and I've always tried to keep my I guess controversial thoughts and opinions internalized. And that means that, there's been a lot about this whole single parent thing that I haven't shared with you, just simply because it's not really my place. Like, I don't want to talk about the way that my children think or the way that Jamie thinks. And I've really tried hard to be a better person. And that's really where this all comes from, right? And, but I wish there must be an instruction manual for this sort of thing. An instruction manual for when a family breaks up and what happens when parents start hanging out with other people. What happens when other adults are coming around and spending time with your children. There has to be, because it's an extremely common thing. And it's like learning all over again. When we had Alina, it was this big, huge step for me. And it took me, I'm not lying to you when I tell you, it took me 3 years to even start being a daddy to her. And I feel horrible about that, but it's the truth. The truth is, I was not ready for children at 25 years old. And it happened, and it took me a very long time to reconcile my emotions and to accept the fact that I needed to provide for her and give her emotional support in addition to financial stuff, And it took me a very long time to be a daddy. And I don't know that I ever succeeded at that, but I tried very hard to at least give her as much as I could, because there's still a big part of me that wants to be me. And that might be selfish, but that's just how it is, right? And I'm not going to make excuses for it because I don't feel like I need to, but there's still a big part of me that wants to be me. And that means that I don't come home and immediately switch to daddy mode and be a parent, because it's like, every dude I've ever known, every dude I've ever known, laughs and jokes about spending a week away from the family or going fishing just to get away. And it's a joke, really, because it really is. I've said it myself, like, oh, I get a weekend to myself, or, oh, they're going out of town. Like, I'm just going to do nothing. And because it's, being a parent is a job. It is a job, and it's a big job. It's a huge, important job. And when you come home from one job and then immediately step into another one, it becomes overwhelming sometimes. But no dude, even though they say that stuff, no dude wants to be separated from his family. It's not good, And I went through that last year. I went through the fact that I was no longer living with my family. They no longer lived with me. And it took me a very long time to reconcile how I felt about that and to come to terms with that. And now I have a pretty good relationship with my kids. Jamie and I have spent the last year really working on how we can together, we want to still raise our children together. We're not fighting. We're not best friends anymore, but we're not constantly at odds with each other about how we're raising our daughters or how our daughters are interacting with us or the world or whatever. We're trying to at least be cohesive on all of that. And that's important, I think. But the point is, I have two little girls. Well, they're not little. Neither of them is. But one's 14, one's 9. And my 9-year-old, she still wants to spend a lot of time with me. And she still comes over a lot. My oldest I don't see very often. That's her choice, and I let her make that choice. I'm not going to ever force her to make a different choice for my own benefit. That's not fair. So I'm never going to beg her to come visit me or whatever. I'm never going to put that pressure on her. But my 9-year-old wants to spend time with me. And as I've told you many times, I have a friend who spends a lot of time here. She's here a lot. And we hang out and we play games. You know, we do whatever friends do. There's a time that when there's going to be some headbutting there, right? I basically have 2 people in my house that require my attention, and how do you reconcile that? How do you I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to ask you, but it's not easy. It's not easy to come to terms with both of them, and you know, especially when one is an adult and the other one is a child, and the child, you know, views adults as authoritarian figures, and it's tough. But I got to say that in the time since I've been hanging out with this friend, my life has been so profoundly better. Just my physical and emotional well-being has been at levels it's never been at before. My house is wonderfully, it's getting there, but it doesn't embarrass me. And, you know, my relationship with Keely has even grown pretty strong just because we have a lot of us time when there's not all this other commotion and distraction going on. And I have to figure it out because I'm not ready to I'm not ready to start a new family. That's not even on my mind right now. And I'm also not ready to tell my current family that I can't be there, because that's never going to be the case. I'm always going to be there. I'm dad, right? Like, I'll always be dad, whatever that takes. And if it takes personal sacrifice, I've done it before, you know, I'll do it again. But I think Keely is mature enough that we can figure it out together. We've talked a lot about it, and but she's not here tonight. She doesn't want to be here tonight. Makes me feel weird, but I understand, and I'm giving her space to come to terms with everything. You know? Again, like I said yesterday, maybe giving her space is the wrong thing, but it feels right. So I'm going to let her be her, and I'm going to be me, and hopefully between the two of us, we can figure out how to be a family when we need to be. So that's all I have for you. I don't know if that meant anything at all, but I appreciate you listening to my nonsense for a while there, and I appreciate you just being amazing people. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for liking and commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends. Really, really think the world of you, and I will see you tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from frostburg.edu. Which gas is known as laughing gas? Laughing gas is nitrous oxide, N2O, more properly called dinitrogen oxide. It is a colorless gas with a sweet odor and taste. Inhalation leads to disorientation, euphoria, numbness, a loss of motor coordination, dizziness, and ultimately a loss of consciousness.